You ready? For some reason, I feel like calling you Deborah tonight. Ms. Bennett, you ready? Yes. All right. Hear ye, hear ye. I go ahead and formally open the October 11th meeting of the Town Council for the Town of Washington, Virginia. We have an agenda in front of us. I have some changes to make, but I'd like to first have a motion to approve the agenda and then a second, and then we will have the...
Call to order first,
Yes,
right?
I did the call to order.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Gail. All right, what I would like to add is under B, under new business, approval of a $450 allotment from the town's fund, and I'll go over the details of that when we get to it. So I'll just say approval of a $450 allotment. Are there any other changes?
No.
Marianne, are you all right with that change added to your motion to approve?
Yes, I am.
And Gail, you fine with
Yes.
second? All right, roll call vote to approve. Jean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have minutes from the September 13th meeting of the Town Council.
They look good. I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, are there any corrections or additions or deletions? If not, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote to approve.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, they are approved. Tragically, I have a long mayor's report today. I am so sorry.
Tomorrow. Oh my God, look how long it is.
I want to bring everyone up to speed on several things. First, we have a little change in our monthly administrative meeting for the town. It will be this Friday at 10 a.m. here in Town Hall, Barbara. It will discuss relevant issues of the moment as well as determine a purpose for a planning grant application. I'd love to get the feedback from members of Town Council if you were here for that. If you are not here, you can go ahead and give me your thoughts. Second, I want to let members of this council know, as well as members of the Planning Commission and the ARB, that the FOIA has a training opportunity for all town officials elected and appointed on Wednesday, the 27th at 1 p.m. I assume this is a virtual. Barbara, you have this information?
Yeah, it's not
Okay. Okay.
That's right, I have to log in.
If you have not done a FOIA training of any sort, I strongly, strongly urge you to attend.
Actually, under the statute, each one of you have to either read the booklet or do one of these classes.
Okay. And I'm sure all the members of the council have read the booklet, so this would be to add to your
Matter of
depth of
fact,
knowledge. Updates. VDOT is undertaking some planning to re-erect a no parking here to corner signs at the intersection of Main Street and Harris Hollow. So that may be implemented sometime in the near future.
Well, that's a good idea.
I understand there were these signs, but at some point they were taken down without VDOT's authority, and it has made it difficult for our friends who live out on Harris Hollow and have either a large vehicle or have a trailer to make that right-hand turn from Harris Hollow to Main Street with the cars parked to cross the way. So
I think at least one of them was knocked down by one of those large vehicles trying to make
it may have been. I also want to express appreciation of the town people's patience as we address the significant water leak this past week. We are taking steps to address the potential problems with a 100-year-old water system, and we're seeking to be proactive and not reactive. So this is going to be at the forefront of our thoughts so that we have as few of these leaks or boil advisories as possible. I want to take a moment to thank local citizens. There have been a number of improvements occurring around the town. I wanted to point some of these out. There have been improvements to houses on Wheeler Street and on Main Street across from Wheeler Street. In addition, there have been extensive renovations. The house on Gay Street near Wheeler Street, and I understand the couple that have done that renovations are moving in shortly if they have not moved in already. I've seen their car there. They moved in. That's great. There have been improvements to the small house at the corner of Gay and Middle Street, I think by the inn, which is wonderful. Looks great. Mount Salem Avenue, ladies and gentlemen, you just need to hold on to something if you go down Mount Salem Avenue, because my gosh, there is all sorts of things going on down there. We have had rejuvenated plantings going on, an Audubon bird sanctuary status for one of our residents, repaired sidewalks, thanks to Jerome and Nanette Edwards for working with VDOT to get the sidewalks done, both in front of their residents and elsewhere along Mount Salem. Thankfully, beginning of renovations to the long empty brick Tudor house on Mount Salem, which is very exciting. I want to thank Joe Whitehead and Shiloh Proper, is that her last name? And the Washington planners for not only the plantings in the town barrels and around the town sign on Mount Salem, but also for their commitment to keeping them alive and flourishing. Especially the Washington planners. This is a group of local citizens who are willing to volunteer their time and energy to keep our town looking beautiful. So we are grateful to them. And Joe, thank you for all that you did in getting those plantings done. I want to also acknowledge the renovation of the office building at Main and Porter. That looks like it's just about finished, and it looks terrific. And of course, last but not least, the transformation of the old post office into patios. And all of us with any pangs of hunger are looking forward to that opening in the near future. So the post office, the new post office, we are awaiting word from the Postal Service about the completion date this fall. I followed up with a regional contact last week, and he is assembling information for a response. Discovered after some extensive research that the issues that were cited previously in the Rappahannock News with the wastewater and electric connections had to do with the current contractor. The water and wastewater connections with the town's infrastructure have been done and handled innovatively and efficiently by Brad Schneider. And Brad's not here tonight, so this reaches out to thank him for all of his time and his expertise and effort in that issue. We have been working on getting the kiosk ready, and we are working now on the final plans to get that put back out. It's going to look spanking new, and that will be available for town and community notices. And we are checking every week on the progress of the post office, and the exciting part is that landscaping should happen in the very near future. We have gotten a proposal for the plantings to be done. That would be indigenous plantings for the community or of the area, and that should be taking place in the nearby future. The Christmas and Little Washington Parade has been canceled this year again due to COVID concerns. However, there is a concerted effort by the Christmas and Little Washington Committee to create a series of activities during this upcoming holiday season that will be joyous, entertaining, and most of all safe. And speaking of holidays, Halloween will soon be on us, and I know that one cannot stop the march of ghouls and goblins in their annual perambulation, so I hope our town citizens will create safe means by which children can partake of the treasures that come with saying trick or treat. I know Trinity Church is working on their plans for Halloween night. I don't know if the inn is planning to do something. They are? Great. And I urge our other neighbors to prepare as well. The children in our county have lost out in so many ways over the past year and a half because of COVID. I hope this festivity is not another casualty. So I urge all townspeople to participate in Halloween. I understand someone just told me that Dr. Fauci has given his seal of approval to Halloween. And of course, I urge everyone to do it, but to do it safely. Finally, I want to acknowledge Nancy Button and the Board of Zoning Appeals for their balanced and thoughtful deliberations last Friday. Nancy, thank you. I know that was a challenge, and you did it magnificently. And to Barbara Batson, the town clerk, on the occasion of her second anniversary of working with us, and for showing the fortitude to put up with us town officials for a similar period of time. So we are grateful. I apologize for the long report, but there are lots of things that I wanted to get out, and that is the end of my report. Do we have a report from the Planning Commission? I see none. Architectural Review Board? We did not meet last week. All right. By the way, I have for you the swatch. You're welcome. That actually is town business of a different, on a different topic. Treasury report, Ms. Swift.
Thank you. You have the missing one from August, as well as the September treasurer's report. Don't get too excited by the size of the balance, though. We're going to spend 99% of that this coming month. But hopefully we'll be able to get some of that moved up to the LGIP once we get everything else balanced out. Moving over to the bills to be paid. You'll see the Grand Buyers LLC, that's Shiloh and her team who did all the cleanups of the town signs, planted the mums, and under the mums are tulip bulbs that hopefully will bloom close to the same time that the inn installs their tulips. I think that would be lovely. When you look at also on there, you'll see, we're going to do this moving forward. You'll see John Bennett, town attorney, zoning administrator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Normally, we've just been putting in the flat, this is how much we've written a check for him. But moving forward, we're going to be breaking this down. It's important that you all know exactly where that money is divided up into. What's for town attorney work, what's for different zoning administrators' work, et cetera. So Barbara does that anyway, and she's going to be doing it so that I can have it in the report.
Great.
And that will show you just what we spend on zoning and permitting and everything, because we are going to have to relook at those in the near future. Wastewater, oh, I don't even want to touch some of these, but I don't. I'd rather just ignore them, but we can't. You can see under wastewater our biannual payment for the wastewater loan of $98,000.
Biannual or semi-annual?
Semi-annual. What did I said biannual, semi-annual. Atrium construction, their repair work at $24,595. That's $24,000. We also just, so that you won't be surprised when you see that number close to it again in November, we should be, if it's billed in October, but we're replacing and repairing the lift station and pumps over at the inn, and that will be approximately $20,500. Commonwealth Engineering, those were pump repairs. And then under Waterworks, you'll see Piedmont Door Service. One of the things that we've had to ignore over the last couple of years was maintenance on that building, and we have to replace those steel doors because critters are getting in. And that's all we need, right, Joe? Is
We have enough problems without.
right, for critters to start eating on the wires and
I would note
everything.
that some of these are being paid with the ARPA funds that we
Yeah.
received as part of the COVID relief.
Right.
That allowed us to cover the doors and a number of these,
All right.
in addition to our campaign to replace the meters.
Right. Upcoming, I'll talk about them next month, or Brad or Joe will. Barbara has a lot of things that she's waiting for pricing on, estimates from Country Water and ESS, so we'll cover those afterwards.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion to approve the bills to be paid.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, and I
Mary Ann
want to say, I
seconds.
like the way you broke up, what the zoning administrator and the town attorney and how much it was for each of these things that have been happening lately. That's really good.
Yeah, I think it gives us all a much better understanding of how hard and then how many hats John wears.
Subtracted out all the non-routine things. The actual town attorney and zoning administrator is probably 20 to 30% of what I've been going through. So the rest of that will hopefully go away fairly soon.
All right, we have a motion and a second, a roll call vote to approve the bills to be paid. Jean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The Public Works Committee.
The big thing this week is or this month, is in your packet, you'll see the new ESS contract. This is our first new contract with ESS, and there's a copy available to the public in 4 years, I think.
Great.
3,
Almost
I'm sorry,
4.
yeah. We did do a survey and ask some other companies if they were interested in the job. We did not get any other bidders on the contract. It's not out of the line. You'll see the biggest jump is really in our fixed fee from ESS, and that goes up almost $12,000. And the shift there was to try to take more account for the overtime so we increased the overall coverage time rather than continuing getting billed at a very high overtime rate. So that was the biggest shift there. The remainder of the changes were only up $1,000 or $2,000, essentially just in line with inflation. One of the things they're going to do, and this is to get ahead of a number of the maintenance issues that have been identified, is work a lot of the routine maintenance that needs to be done into just their daily work hours for the town. So that also accounts for the increase. Hopefully we'll be able to deal with a number of the ongoing maintenance issues just on a daily basis rather than it waiting till an emergency and then being considerably more expensive. So.
Okay. So in summary, you are going to be recommending when we come up to this that
Correct.
we accept this contract.
That would be correct.
All right. Thank you for your report. Anything else to add?
No, that's it for this month.
Oh,
We'll, of
we
course,
do-
have more to talk about next month.
We do need that approved.
Yeah, but we have it down here later in the agenda.
Oh, it's
to
down.
review.
Yeah, I
Got
was just giving the preamble.
it.
All right.
Got it.
Boundary Line Adjustment Study Group update. Mr. Achel.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. About a month ago, shortly after your last meeting, I began a preliminary investigation of what the scope and the content of a study would look like in anticipation of talking to the mayor about having some members appointed and getting started. It didn't take very long to realize that this study group would be very, very different from the Avon Hall study group in that that one had a much broader scope and a wide open question about how the town should dispose of the property, keep the property, use the property, and it ended up being an extensive study involving a consultant, a number of public hearings that you remember were very well attended, and everyone seemed to have an idea. And so it took almost a year to kind of work that down to where there was a county and town consensus, which resulted in disposition of the sale, and I think we all are quite satisfied with how that all turned out. It became very, very clear that this was a completely different thing, not at all like that study. First of all, there's a single property owner who made an application, so the way the procedure started was different. It's a bisected lot. It's already partly in the town and partly in the counties, so that's kind of different. But more importantly, it's governed. The questions that you will consider are all governed by things that are already on the record. So rather than being a study, it's really more just calling them up. So I began to do that. So I started with the town comprehensive plan and went through it word by word. And then I went back and looked at some of your comments in the consideration of the passage of the planned unit development ordinance. And there was a fair amount of conversation and debate and deliberation. Did the town really want to adopt a planned unit development ordinance that would enable it to do the things that it said it wanted to do in its comprehensive plan? So there's an order here. The comprehensive plan is not very old. The planned unit development is even more recent. And then, on top of that, you just went through a process to see whether the planned unit development ordinance that you adopted actually works, and it worked. So it became clear to me that it's really not an issue of study. It's simply an issue of putting it in front of you, and that's what I've tried to do by sending you some materials. So it's my informed opinion, for whatever that's worth, that in terms of the comprehensive plan, in terms of your discussion and adoption of a PUD ordinance, your use of the planned unit PUD ordinance to change zoning consistent with other discussions that this body's had over the past 5 years, I don't see how, frankly, the town of Washington Town Council could do anything but favor the boundary line adjustment, because it almost seems as if you all said, can we find a developer who will do this? And lo and behold, it appears that there's a developer who's willing to work with the town to do precisely what the town said in its comprehensive plan and in its adoption of a PUD ordinance and in its process with Black Kettle LLC. That is what the town council wants to do. So my recommendation to you is do not appoint a committee, a study group. You don't need that. My guess is you're all very familiar with the documents and the history I've just referenced. And I would leave it to you to determine whether or not my conclusion is accurate, that it is entirely consistent with existing public law of the town council of the town of Washington, that this is precisely what the town envisioned in its comprehensive plan and its adoption and use of a PUD. And I will note once again, publicly, it's the only PUD available to anyone in Rappahannock County. So for the kind of development that both the county comprehensive plan calls for specifically, and the kind that's endorsed and proposed and looking forward to in the town comprehensive plan, the only place in Rappahannock County that that kind of development can take place at the moment is on the piece of property that's in question. So I leave it to you, deliberating on behalf of the town of Washington, to determine whether that recommendation is accurate and makes sense to you. And if you have any specific questions, I'll try and answer them, but that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. H.O. I appreciate it. The documents you gave us will be part of our considerations when we go into closed session later today. And I would invite you, if you would, to join us in closed session so that you can explain.
I might say, so it's part of this report, that what I sent you are essentially abstract of the town comprehensive plan and the county comprehensive plan, and a reference to the history of previous boundary line adjustments. So there's nothing that's not in the public domain already. The boundary line adjustment history is in a published work by Maureen Harris. It's available to anyone who is interested in the history of the town. I just happened to, in fact, she emailed me and said, would this be helpful if I put this together? And I said, yes, it'd be I've read your book. I remember it's there, but to get it straight from the author's mouth is that much better. So I added that. But the other is simply a close reading of both the town's comprehensive plan and the county comprehensive plan. The other material, you'd have to go back and look through minutes and reports. I had some in my files about the work that was done to bring forward PUD proposal, and then the ordinance itself, and then the discussion that the town council had when it was adopting it. The rest of it's too current to need any annotation. You sat through it. You were all on the town council that kept up with the planning commission and went through the first phase of Rush River. So for the public record, that's what my report was based on, those items.
Great. Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate your work and effort on this. All right, Mr. Bennett?
Sir, Mr. Mayor, just a few things. Mr. Krabby at the intersection of Wheeler Street and Main is still working on coming up with a plan that would be acceptable to install a swimming pool. It sits up really high, and you really can't see it at all from the street. Talked about some modifications so you wouldn't see any of the ancillary structures either. We had a meeting on site some months, I guess about 2 months ago now, with Lisa Leftwich, the neighbor, and I left it to the two of them to work out something, a written agreement that's satisfactory to both of them, and they have. So the last thing that came along, sent it off to ESS for technical comments, and got quite a letter back. Given it to Mr. Krabby to give to his engineer to deal with all those things. So that's where that is. There was the the BZA matter, and I want to compliment Nancy on running a really meeting that wasn't too tight, wasn't too loose. That everybody could have a say. That nobody was really running on or anything like that. And all the comments were pretty focused. And at the end of the day, the BZA did not grant the variance to reduce setbacks to about 2 or 3 feet on one side, 2 or 3 feet in the rear, where 30 is required on the other side. Might have met setback. The street, it probably didn't meet the setback on that. I had made the same findings in his zoning administrator's report, and that was also appealed. That was the second case, and they affirmed the decision in that case. And what really impressed me, all the BZA members made comments, and all of them took the long-term view. There was a pretty compelling case made if you were playing the violin strings to give it to this lady. But they looked beyond that and analyzed what would be the implications if it were granted for the town over time. And in my view, really the only conclusion you could draw, but very thoughtful, great meeting. So that's about it from mine.
Okay. Good, thank you, sir. All right, we have old business, a discussion of allowing a council member to attend a meeting electronically.
We couldn't get to it.
Okay, so we will hold that off to the November meeting, Barbara, if we could. I'm sorry? I don't know if I have to amend it. I'm just asking if we can just go ahead and put that on to the November meeting agenda. Okay. The second item is the holiday party. I am looking to, I don't know how we want to broach this. I have one recommendation, and I will propose it, which is that that we cancel the holiday party, which I'm reluctant to do, but we cancel it because of I read today that there is an uptick of cases in COVID. You can't hold the party outside. You'd have to be inside, and this is a small space to hold that event. What I would also propose is, if the treasurer will allow me, and that is to take the funds that we would normally take for the holiday party and have that go either to the food pantry or to the benevolent fund, to allow the people who may not have the means to be able, in the community, to be able to have the means to have a little bit of a brighter holiday season.
I think that's a lovely idea.
Okay. So, any other thoughts? I'm overwhelmed by the silence. If that, Joe, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think it.
Yeah, okay. All right, I think we don't have to have a roll call vote, but it would be nice just to get a vocal affirmation. So all those in favor of that proposal, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Then
Proclamation.
by proclamation, the town of Washington is, with regrets, canceling its holiday party for this year, and I'm authorizing the treasurer to please make a check to the...
Do we want to split it 50-50 between the two?
Sure, that would be great.
Is that good? Joe?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, when you have the opportune time, there is one thing I left off.
This is as a good time as any.
It is rather significant.
Oops.
Barbara and I, sitting here thinking about it, so I thought I'd already said it.
Mr. Bennett, would you pull that microphone up
Alrighty.
real close?
Yes. A matter of, probably the most significant matter, Barbara and I last week did the final site plan related inspection of Patios Cafe. And when you step through the door, I don't know that I have a superlative that's super enough for what you'll see when you do, but it was truly breathtaking. I think Patrick has created something that will be an asset to the community, be attractive far and wide. So
And more importantly, will meet all zoning requirements.
it passed everything. Yeah, from my end, everything's set. They were still working on a punch list. So,
Thank you.
Barbara, anything that you'd like to add?
No, it was beautiful. Breathtaking, I think is a good word for it.
We're excited. I love the sign out front, by the way. That was
It's
great.
wonderful.
That was a great, and that picture is wonderful.
It was very much a team effort, big team.
Well, you all did an excellent job with it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitehead, do you want to talk any more about the contract?
I don't have anything to add unless there's questions from the council or from the public.
So would you like to make a motion to approve the contract?
I move that the council approve the current proposed ESS contract.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All right. The roll call vote to approve the contract. Jean?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. It is approved. The final item that I bring to you is that the fellow who did the work on the Sperryville path, I don't know what they call it, walkway, path,
Walking trail.
walking trail. Brock Lowry of Ironwood Outdoors did the work to prepare a proposed path between the post office and the downtown part of the town of Washington up to Gay Street. We are not at a point now to discuss the specifics of the trail because we are still working on getting approvals from neighbors. But we do have the invoice for $450 to pay for the cost of doing this planning and preliminary work. And this would be paid for from the Post Office Enhancement Fund. The Post Office Enhancement Task Force met yesterday and approved the distribution of $450, making that recommendation to the town council. And so I like to make a motion that the Town of Washington Town Council recommends to the Northern Piedmont Community Foundation Board of Directors that MPCF make a gift in the amount of $450 from the Town of Washington Post Office Enhancement Fund to the Rappahannock Rapidan Regional Commission. What we'll do is the Rappahannock Rapidan Regional Commission will then write a check to Mr. Lowry's firm, Ironwood Outdoors. So that is the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gail. Any questions? So the Post Office Enhancement Fund provided donations to help with the post office and with enhancement, and this is including access to the post office, easier access to the post office to members of the town. Because the town, because there are private vendors and Northern Piedmont Community Foundation does not make grants to private individuals. They make it to nonprofits. The town cannot authorize the Northern Piedmont Community Foundation to make a gift, but they can make a recommendation to the board of directors that they make a gift from the foundation to the Rappahannock Rapidan Regional Commission, who and then will be able to write a check for the same amount to pay Mr. Lowry. So it's a complicated process that we need to go through to make sure that we follow appropriate
Right.
laws and protocols.
If I could, one quick
Yes.
second. Gene, we started with donations of approximately $60,000. And those specifically have 22,000 have been spent to enhance the building itself. So we have 38,000 and change left for the landscaping, the path, the planning, and all of that.
I just need
Yeah.
gift rather than.
Yeah, we have no control. The Northern Piedmont Community Foundation Board of Directors has the control, and their distributions is done in the form of gifts. All
It's
right,
an unfortunate process that we didn't realize we were going to have to go through.
Complicated. Fred figured it out, though.
are there any other questions or comments? And then roll call vote to approve. Gail? Jean, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. With that, I now open it up for a public forum and would welcome anyone from the public who would like to make comments. If you do, please come up, identify yourself and where you live, and please come up and use the microphone.
Hi there, Drew Mitchell, 22 Avon Lane, temporarily at 12 Harris Hollow. I know we're canceling the Christmas party, which makes total sense, as well as just wanted to let y'all know that or if you haven't already heard, the Christmas parade is also canceled, but they're going to do a winter wonderland theme throughout the county. And there's a meeting tomorrow at 5:30 over at the Trinity Church. So I'm going to attend. Anybody else who'd like to attend and get involved, please do. I'm going to decorate Avon Hall. There's going to be an artisan something or other is going to happen there. I don't know if it's a market or whatnot, but a gathering of sorts. So, so I'm going to decorate that. I also want to thank Bob for giving me the name of the aquatics guy that the inn uses. So the gorgeous putting green that I have that's sitting on top of my pond will be temporary. So beautification all around. But just want to let you all know about the winter wonderland thing. So
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Right, are there any other comments from the public? If not, then I will close the public forum. At this point, we have to make a motion. And Mr. Bennett, would you read? I will go ahead and make the motion, I guess, using your language.
Form of the motion would be for council to enter into closed session in accordance with the provisions of section 2.23711A7 of the Code of Virginia, consultation with town attorney concerning adjustments to the town boundaries, a specific legal matter requiring provision of legal advice, and further to invite into the closed session Gary
And Ms. Babson. Okay. All right, that is the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. All right, any questions? Then roll call vote to go into closed session. Jean?
Yes.
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 At the end, we will be coming out of closed session and we will probably have some actions that we may take at that point. At that time, you will be invited to come back in, but I will warn you that we may be in closed session for some time. And Mr. Bennett will let you know when we come back into open session.
Go to the front door and haul it out.
That's right.
The town crier.
He does.
That's right. All right, I want to thank everyone for attending tonight, and I appreciate your interest.
Okay, recording stopped.